everybody. It is Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and tonight is a much-needed Power Patron relaxing spa painting. So this is right now January. Maybe you're watching this tonight with us live, or maybe you're coming through via the internet YouTube time machine. I want to shout everyone who's in the room. First, I want to say to Sharon O'Brien, I'm so sorry that you were not feeling well, and I hope you feel better really soon. Our own moderator, Colleen, is definitely recovering from an infection. I saw her today. She does look like a lopsided chipmunk, as Donna said. Her face is really swollen, so she may be in or out. I see Suzanne, and I really appreciate everyone who's come today. It's been kind of a day for me, so I appreciate you guys being here. Let's hop on in.
Okay.
So the first thing I have out is last night's painting, and today, and I've also got today's painting underneath it. And then we're going to do this painting, and I'm showing you this so that you can see how the wet palette has gone through 3 paintings, and I have not rinsed out the paper in between. So I'm just doing all these different little testy things with it to make sure that I love it. I do love it, but I'm just making sure that I love it. I do love it. So the traceable is should be available to you, and I too, everyone is saying that they really love the butterflies and the stones. Oh, I see Barbara Red. Oh, thank you. Everyone who comes today, thank you for coming today. We had 19, now we have 14. That makes me sad. I don't know. We'll see. All right. It doesn't really. So really, I shouldn't say that because you might take me super seriously. I'm actually okay. I had a rough day, but then I painted, and that helped me really work out how I'm doing.
You did a lot of painting.
Huh? There's
a lot of painting centering.
There is, but you know, the thing about it is that you can be in a complicated emotional space. And then while I was painting today, and I didn't really know what to do with my feelings or any of it, I was just crying, upset, and freaked out, and all the things that one can be as a human.
Yes.
And then as I was painting, I started to be able to see solutions. And I think that's really the power of art. Like there are solutions in your art to very complicated, difficult problems, maybe problems you're not personally empowered in, or problems that are outside of your sphere of influence. But as I was doing the painting, I came up with like all these things I could do directly to make the situation better, which I could not see while I was sad and upset. So that's a powerful thing. And that was this painting. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know where to put these. So this adorable little painting, which like the reference photo on this is the most expensive reference we've ever licensed, because we had to do it from like one of the real bougie photography sites where the really, really good photographers are, because apparently there's not a bunch of great photographers for manatees.
We didn't have to. We got to.
We got to. That's right. And we were able to do that because you guys supported us. And so this little guy actually is going to be definitely an acrylic April. I'm sure I'm going to continue to kind of work with it and tweak it and stuff like that. But it was really special. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to maybe raise some manatee awareness, possibly even some funds for manatees through this, because I'll have this reference painting that we could do that with. And, you know, in that moment, no matter what you're up against, there is a solution, a peaceful, happy solution that will help you feel centered in your soul, even in the face of stuff that really confounds you. I find that all the time. Like if I'm having trouble with my teenager, I will paint. And then in that process of painting, which I'm going to start doing now.
Going to paint.
I am going to paint.
You? You're tempting us with this painting.
I'm tempting you with painting. Rosie says, I love the manatee painting. I would really, really like a tutorial. I've been thinking about my father-in-law and manatees all day. That is fantastic. So yes, this is acrylic April for sure. This isn't, I know I've been giving you guys sneak peeks to paintings for acrylic April that may or may not make the schedule, because sometimes I drop 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 10. But this one for sure is going to be in the April catalog because it goes with our theme. And also it really helped me lighten my burden today.
Yeah.
And I've been carrying a burden, so that worked out very well. Okay, I'm going to start out with I'm going to just use a mop because it's a big brush. And
because you want to?
I have this other one, but this one actually brushes out a little bit bigger than the 26 or the 30, so I'm going to do this. I need to get some new short-handled braids.
Yeah?
But I don't want to call them to do it, so...
I'll get some.
You want to get some?
I'll get them.
Okay.
Get them.
So anyone who's new, if this is your first time here or you're recent to here, welcome. Welcome. Let's start this. Let's just hit it with a little bit of blue. Let's just start everything with a little bit of blue. There's kind of a lot of blue in this piece, and if we go all blue first, then that won't be a problem. And I'm just using Ultramarine blue and Phthalo blue to kind of blue it up of what's left on my palette anyways, and that seems to be coming to the end. So this is 3-4 days worth of painting. If you think about it, I'm going to put out some more Phthalo blue. Right now on here is burnt sienna, Phthalo green, Cad red, Quinacridone magenta, some Cad yellow, some Naples yellow light, some Dioxazine purple, Mars black. I had a little burnt sienna, and I've been doing ultramarine and Phthalo here and titanium white in the center. So that so far has been the palette. I may paint with it until the morning.
And make you smaller.
Well, sometimes I'm going to have to answer for somebody. They're going to be like, what happens if the paint dries on the paper? Or just there'll be some question that I don't yet know the answer to, but I know through the act of just pushing the boundaries, I will discover the answer. That's how I do it.
Push the boundaries.
Welcome, Elizabeth. Oh, this is Elizabeth Meeham's first time. Oh, that is awesome. And first patron painting. Now, to my beautiful patrons, if you guys message me a question on Facebook and we're for some reason like not connected because I have at any given time 1,500 friend requests, I just grabbed some burnt sienna coming in. And so I can't get everybody, I can't even find everybody. And I kind of try to filter through because I gotta be a little careful who's on my personal page.
Yeah.
Because it invites a lot of different kind of unexpected discourse. Because it's the internet. But sometimes I will miss an important message. And the best way to make sure I hear something, especially if it's a question about a purchase or your patronage, is to do support at TheArtSherpa.com. I'm not trying to defer you away from me. It's just the only trackable system I have.
It's true. It's
just trackable, and it means like if you come back later and you're like, I talked to you in January and you didn't say anything, I can look and be like, oh yeah, you did. You did talk to me in January and I'm very bad. So that's why we use it. Facebook is not a reliable method of communication. I do answer questions there. It's just not reliable.
Yeah.
Diane says the dog is on the floor beside her and he farted and she's super glad that there is a fan close by. We had one of those with Twix last night. I was going to blame John, but turns out it was the dog. And John was like, it's not me and I'm dying. It's coming your way. Save yourself. But I like turned the fan at the last minute and saved myself. He did blow it back on John, which I kind of felt bad about. But sometimes in a fart situation, you just got to do what you got to do. So this is just a mix of Phthalo blue and ultramarine blue and some burnt sienna. I just am picking this because it's a dark enough thing for me to do the traceable on. It's got a blue cast, so anything I build on it will have that blue kind of feeling to it. It'll be just easy to keep it since blues are transparent. Yeah. Let's dry it. Is this going to
be fine?
Okay.
I say that. I hope it's going to be fine. If all the lights go out and you hear me running, going downstairs to throw a breaker, you'll know what happened. She used heat. That's what's happened. Blame it on the heats. Don't use heats. So yeah, that's generally speaking, don't use heat because it blows breakers in your house and makes the guy behind the camera run. And it's bad for your paint. Causes color shift, shrinkage, makes it soft and pliable and squishy, which you don't like. So, right. Looks like that was okay.
It was okay?
I don't know. We're not gonna
So I see Jonathan S. in the house for us today, and I have to ask a question because the profile picture is very small, and also we have found that partners use each other's partners on the YouTube. I just said the YouTube.
On the YouTube.
I just said the YouTube, but it is right. It's the Twitter. It's the YouTube. Let's just own it.
On the internet.
On the internet. So is Jonathan correct? Right? I think Raheel actually goes by a different name, but has given up because nobody has gotten there. But is Jonathan correct? That is my question.
I think so.
Hi,
I'll
Robin
double
and
check.
Katie.
Okay. Yeah, for a long time, my daughter showed up as me, so she went over there as John. So I had to go and set her up for her own Honey account.
What?
For a long time, Honey ran around with my name on her account.
Yes.
Which I had to change.
Yeah. Well, because my teen daughter has many opinions and no filter system as of yet. No sign of one coming online anytime soon.
No.
No. She's like, the candidest candid. You're just like, could you soften that a little bit? Just a little bit. She like channels the voice of TikTok at me all the time. Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm going to tape my Cerl paper down. This is the white Cerl paper. And I'll tell you right now, I prefer the white and yellow because I found the red and blue to be very staining and sometimes difficult to remove and sometimes coloring the paint. Wonderful product, don't have a problem with it. And if you like red and blue, that's okay. But that's why you always see me using the white and the yellow.
Mm.
I tape it down in two places so it does not move on me. I did the colored pencil thing again, John.
Did you?
I did.
Do you need a...
I do.
Okay, hold on. This is a solvable problem.
Paint on here. No, it's the white pencils. So I'm going to tape this down as well. Barbara's finally on a computer instead of her phone. Linda says Twix is bad. And I have not heard back from Jonathan to know. And by the way, you don't have to tell me. If it's private, it's none of my business, and that's cool. It just is. I mean, maybe that's an invasive question. And it could be. And it isn't ridiculous that it could be. It could be.
You can tell we're live.
Because I panic in the real time?
Uh-huh.
I've been rude in some unintentional way?
And then you over-panic, and I'm sure you over-apologize. Everyone's like...
I'm happy to if it's required. So to get the transfer of this, I'm going to just come over my lines, pressing fairly hard with a sharp pencil. I'm not going to worry about all the detail lines. I'll probably get most of those in when I paint. So I'm going to just worry about the structural lines and some of these spacing lines because like roses, this is going to be the space where I'm working extra hard. Yes. I'm just having a day. And I'm worried I stuck my foot in my mouth. Okay. You know what? Here's the thing. I feel like it's hard sometimes to use your inside resonance chamber to know what your external impact is. I'm teaching it. I'm tracing over the rocks. Huh? I am using my experience to teach. That's the only part of my internal resonance chamber that does not fail me in times.
I was tending the fire.
Tending the fire?
It was...
Tend that fire.
Needing to be poked.
We have, John has discovered in the process of printing books that 20-pound computer paper is terrible. Terrible. And so... I
got rid of it. And then I realized you kind of need it sometimes.
Yeah.
Terrible.
But yeah, it does... the cheaper paper is easier on the traceable.
It's terrible paper.
It is. Trying to get these
if you
little
want
curves.
to know what I mean, grab yourself some 32-pound paper for your printer. It's, $1 or $2 more a ream.
Worth it, I'm sure.
And yeah, now when you print something, all of a sudden, when you print on one side and you flip over and look on the other, you can't see through the paper to see the text. So 32-pound paper is not, you can't read the text through the paper. And that's sort of the minimum level of paper that I find acceptable for any of our book work. But there is a time when you're just doing, a very lightweight thing where you need 20-pound paper, but that's a very, except as a cost-saving function, it's rare that you need a thin paper in printing.
Sharon, I am so sorry you were going through all that. Sharon is sharing some stuff that she's going through, which you can see in the chat if you want to send her some love and some emojis. Oh. You know what?
I'm sorry, Sharon.
I think that 2021, now I know I said it was going to be a good year.
It is.
I have not given up on that. I'm going to will it into being. But I do think that we are definitely coming through some growing pains to get there. Goodness gracious. Da-da-da. All right. So then I'm just coming here. These little curved lines. Now, an easy way to weirdly do this would be to take like a big wide brush like this or whatever the size of your width is, and then make regularly spaced lines and literally go like this and click it out. I'm not going to do that though, because that can go so wrong.
It can go wrong?
It's so wrong.
But you're live, and nothing going live can be wrong.
So many things go wrong during the live.
It could just be more.
So many things go wrong during the live. I know that. I know that because the comments tell me it's true. The internet does not spare you your flaws. Bless the internet.
Yeah.
And its candor. It feels like Divergent over here. I am from the house Candor. I've come to tell you all the facts are wrong.
That's okay. You can totally go that way because I'm going to call Q and we'll just bring an end to this whole thing.
Q who?
What do you mean Q who? Q from Star Trek.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Q who?
No, there's another Q.
Q.
Q from Star Trek.
Yes.
Live long and prosper.
Yes.
Okay. I'm with you.
He just like if he didn't like you, like he just bzzed you right out of the ship. He was like.
He's a child. I really had a lot of trouble with an interdimensional being that was that capricious, but
That's what made him awesome, and he just like bothered Picard all the time.
Yamini is recovering from wisdom teeth removal. Yamini, heal up. So we've got a lot of that going on. Louise says.
Clearly you thought
Diane's like, I knew what he meant. I was just panicked. It's been a week.
Like, my dork totally takes over everything, and I get Trek tunnel vision.
May we all get Trek tunnel vision.
I just see tribbles everywhere.
Tribbles in the sand. All right, so we're gonna brush out a loosey goosey little background. I think I'll just get a round brush, big round brush. This is a big round brush. This one is an 8, so it's not as big as say the 12 I have, which must be being washed. I was originally looking for my 12, but it must be being washed. I'm gonna load up my white and just a smidge of my phthalo blue. I want a fairly light color, and we're going to start to bring in this very diffused background. So I'm going to be using wiggling strokes. And already, it's a benefit already that the canvas is blue on the background.
There's a resounding agreement that there could be more Trek paintings in our world.
There could. Honestly, Trek is nice enough to fans to do it. Some properties like Nintendo are not friendly to fans.
Even if maybe next time we did a worldly painting, even if we just had an Enterprise zip by in the background,
when I taught at painting parties
I know.
and
it
they
was
ran
so
long,
awesome.
I would add the Enterprise to whatever scene we were painting.
I still have some of these.
Do you?
I do.
I would just be like, oh.
There were some of my favorites, and like she also has the TARDIS visit some the various.
The TARDIS did visit some things.
Especially, and then you had the Enterprise visit.
Yeah, the Enterprise would visit and shoot lasers. I don't know what the Enterprise was shooting lasers at, but
Kevin the Kraken visits.
Yes, I would just, because I would paint faster than the class. If a painting took me 30 minutes to 40 minutes, it could take a class up to 3 hours. So I would often be a little bit ahead of what everybody's doing. See how we're just sort of wiggling it there?
I do.
Laying in this light background. Now, I am going to come in and get a firm horizon line in a second. I'm just right now making sure that we've got this sort of light area. Diane would like you to show and tell, says Diane. Who's here for show and tell?
Oh, I have to. They're in storage next door. I'll have to get them. Diane, I'll find them.
Since we finished all of the fairy tale paintings, and I told this to John, they would make a very good calendar.
I would like to do that.
But we've got to find them all.
Next problem from moving
that's
is
his
to locate all our stuff.
And some of my paintings may be damaged beyond a reason. We haven't looked yet.
No, I don't think so. I
Really?
actually think we're doing okay over there. I've done spot checks, so to speak, and I'm feeling pretty good so far.
That's good.
I would say mildly optimistic.
I like mildly optimistic. Peaceful moment over. Have fun, y'all. Hugs to everyone who needs it. Hugs, Katie.
Hugs.
So this is our first little layer in our background, just kind of wiggling it out. You can see it starts to create an uneven background. I will bring this around the edges, as you do.
No, as you do.
We all do together.
I watch the paint dry.
I'm going to keep coming in with a little bit of white. Let's really kind of work this white in. And it's okay if it comes down low. We'll put our horizon line in again in a minute.
Do we know what kind of butterfly this is?
Monarch, isn't it? I don't know.
Monarch.
Female flower. There's a bunch of orange and black ones. The internet will tell me what butterfly it is. Robin B has 2 YouTubes going at the same time. We got a Josh Whedon fan in the room, but we already knew Kim was a Josh Whedon fan. I just love Josh Whedon. Terrible, terrible executives that should never, ever have made Willow addicted to magic. I am as upset about that as the end of Game of Thrones. Those of you that know me know that I hold a TV grudge for a long, long time. So we're trying to create kind of a diffuse light background, right, as we come up. And then as we're coming up, we can, I might get a little of my Naples yellow light into my turquoise.
It's funny. I guess your mom must be live right now, too.
What day is it?
Tuesday?
No.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go, I think it's pretty sure.
My mom's live Monday. It must be Monday.
Maybe it's Monday. It's Monday. Your mom, yeah, I think your mom's live, too. Hi, Mom. Well, we're on secret chat. We're in secret.
Yeah. I'm not like public live.
No, she can't see us.
I'm not public live. Oh, Sharon says looks like a monarch, and Rosie says it is my mom who's live. We're gonna continue to wiggly. You see how this is a very wiggly little stroke? This is another great way to create diffuse space on a painting.
I guess you could say hello from the secret chat.
No.
Or patron chat.
Yeah, we just let her work, man. Let her work. It's her job.
It's true.
It's her job.
It's hard not to just be like, hey.
Mom, like my kids do. Mom.
Oh, now you just blended that in. Was that, did you have your brush very wet there?
Not very wet, but the paint on the surface was wet, and I'm working fairly quickly, and so that affords me some forgiveness in those spaces. I'm dipping in the water right now, and we're gonna come up here and maybe
Is this a place where you would use blending medium or
you
something?
could if you were having a lot of trouble. If you're having a lot of trouble blending your paint, and I'm going to show you a cool 2-brush blending method here. So I'm putting up this very uneven thing. Now I've got these soft Princeton round select blenders. I'm going to get one kind of wet, and I'm going to come here and use the round shape. I don't use my cloud brush here because it's enough of a scrubber. It will pull paint unless all the layers underneath are very, very dry, which they are not. All right. You can see how we're creating that soft diffusion. Super doable. Just takes 2 brushes. Don't worry about it. But I do sometimes, pull 2 brushes in and try to work it. Rinse out. I'm going to wipe off on a towel. That's what you don't see on my lap is a towel, a hand towel, and I'm wiping the brush off so it's just damp because this needs to be damp to work. I'm going to rinse the big one out just for a second. And I'm going to come back with my round and some white paint here. And to make this a little more cloud-like. Yeah, we're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Rinse out. And you want it damp. You don't want it holding water. The Princeton round blenders, I believe this is synthetic, but it's a very soft synthetic. And I actually have to look at the specs, the manufacturing specs on this brush. But it still holds a lot of water. Not as much as goat, but still a lot. Okay, it's so good to have you guys here. Thank you so much for hanging with us while we make all these little transitional moves. We really, really appreciate it. I could not be here without you. I'm just getting enough white in here where it feels opaque enough to be of value. That's a nice background. Lovely, lovely. I'm going to get an angle brush. This is a 3/8 angle brush. This is a 1/2 inch angle brush, and this should be, is this a quarter? Yeah, this is a 1/4 inch angle brush.
Now, their numbers, though, don't correspond to that.
These actually do.
Oh, they do?
Yes, because brush companies will never cut you a break with the craziness that they utilize within their own brush lines. Silver Brush especially is culpable to this.
This is the crazy thing. This is even within the same company.
Yeah.
Like they'll have one brush line that's called the yellow brushes, and they use
one line of measurements.
They use numbers, and then you're going to go over to this other one that's the blue line of brushes, and it uses letters.
Super true. It's actually the whole reason we first went to NAMTA the first time was to get an answer on this brush thing. Because I was like, I'd asked everybody, I'd talked to everybody, I'd read every textbook I could find from like historical materials, and just like I had dove into some tomes. I have some art tomes. They are dusty reading, my friends, but they are informational. Just trying to get a sense of it. Couldn't get one. Went to NAMTA to find out what was going on and also meet the rep from the Simply Simmons line, if you guys remember. Oh. I was going to meet the rep from the Simply Simmons line because they had sent me a bunch of brushes because I had liked their extra firm filament brushes.
They are extra firm.
So I'm pulling these little wonderful twigs that are sort of implied here. I'm just taking the brush, short bristles first, long bristles last, and I'm going to pull out little twiggly bits that have similar feels. Fun stuff.
Fun.
Fun, I say. Fun, I say. You can see I just pull these out. They're quite lovely. I'll probably even use these around the turns.
Nothing like spending a Monday night watching paint dry.
Jonathan has a fantastic suggestion. I bought a set of makeup brushes for super cheap. They make amazing blenders. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. That is super true.
I have been known to use a Purdy brush as a large blender myself.
They work. They super work. I'm going to try this so I can get my horizon line in.
So there you guys go. There's some secret sauces. Thank you for joining us and being here. It's one of those late Monday nights, and I'm feeling the brain slowing down and firing on fewer than all of the optimum cylinders, however that may be. But I have fewer today for sure. So,
there's some interesting atmospheric perspectives.
What is atmospheric?
Atmospheric perspective is the line, value, hue, implied stroke. These are all of the things that are not linear perspective, right? So like if mountains are distant, they're kind of diffused in purple and close to the value of the faraway sky. That's an atmospheric perspective thing. And we have some kind of blended soft perspectives here in this particular piece. So I just want to make sure I have that in my mind as I work, because it will help me. Wow, I can't even see that. Like I see it, but I can't see it. You know what I'm saying? I see it, but I cannot see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my just white paint. And right here, it's more important than anything. I'm just going to use, now you can see it. I'm going to come around here, and there's going to be just a hint, my friends, of a slightly lighter value. This is a very... And this will keep the background seeming very out of focus and diffused and foggy and all of those wonderful things, while still giving us a bit of that implied horizon line. Now, interestingly, over here, we get blue going again, and that blue is kind of coming really through here because of these lines. So there's this line here. Mm-hmm. Going like that. So that's what we've got to work out. I'm going to grab a little bit of my, I'm still using my angle brush. Angle brushes are great. They come here close to the butterfly. More in the white. More in the white. And I am loving this wet palette. This is really holding up. And again, normally I rinse out and give you guys fresh paint every time, but this is really good to see how it's holding up. Mm-hmm. And then if I work off of it tomorrow and then rinse it, it'll give me a really good idea about like its rinse repeat aspects. Now we have a bit of a blue here, and I'm going to come into this time my ultramarine blue. So it's a slightly different blue, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that little bit of difference to the blue is a very interesting effect. We'll come around these little stones. It'll help us kind of imply this sand, this cool sand, which is going to alternate between these blues and an aqua. I may have to put out some more blending that in. I'm just using the 1/2 angle to blend it in. And wiping off. I'll get some more white onto my palette. Let's stick it here. Running out of little spots.
Rug or something underneath you to protect the floor?
Yes. I have a rug underneath me to protect the floor.
It's
Special is a strong word. It is a rug, and it is to protect the floor.
It comes from IKEA, and it has a name with several consonants together.
IKEA.
And they're hard for me to say and remember, so I don't. It's the gray one.
And it's a chair named Carl.
Yes, with a carpet named Ferdid.
So we're starting to get that little kind of feeling going here of what's happening. I can kind of a little bit if I need to. I might get my ruler involved again. You know, sometimes your ruler just needs to be involved a little bit. Did you know that? Your ruler just needs to be involved a little bit on occasion. And when it does, don't hesitate to pull out the ruler.
That's not a ruler.
That is a T-square.
That? It's a T-square.
Yeah, it is a T-square. I'm going to continue to do this a bit lighter, but I want to make sure that this feels also like diffused sand. So there's a bit of a horizon there as well. Not enough of one. Back with the ruler. See, I never stop. I don't give up. I don't stop. I don't fall down. I don't quit. Do I have... Oh, that was Robin. I was about to answer a question I had just answered. It happened to me now. So can you guys see the faint and subtle kind of horizon lines that are happening here? This is very kind of a key element to the calm and serene feeling of this painting. Can be a little challenging sometimes to get these, right? Like just a little bit. Yeah. Wiggle it just a little bit. I didn't do that. I'm sorry. I apologize to all of you. That moment when you're like, oh, the Sherpa. Oh, the Sherpa.
Oh,
the Sherpa. What can you do?
Stand up.
Stand up? Stand up to what?
Down.
Can I what?
You could stand up. You could sit down.
No, none of those things work.
You could paint the painting.
I'm bringing a little sliver of a slightly darker color there. And then it's interesting. I'm going to get into my yellows. This is going to be a journey.
What's the most interesting?
This strange little swirly thing. I'll tell you this skill here, though, that we're working on. We're adding a little Naples Yellow here so that this part of the sand has got more of a Naples Yellow feel to it. Is actually a very similar thing that we would do, say, to sand dunes. So that's always fascinating whenever we get into something where I'm like, this is a lot like what I would have to do if this were sand dune. Which it is not. And I have not painted. I may paint one after Acrylic April. I can't come up with a way that it would be in Acrylic April, but I'm trying to right now tie the concepts of the paintings together with water. So that's been an interesting personal challenge that I've set down for myself. And then also because I feel like after 30 days of doing these different paintings and different ways that we look at water, anyone coming out of that will never fear the transparent majesty of water ever again.
So,
yeah, that's my theory.
I got an idea here.
Uh-huh.
You would like to do a painting about sand dunes and water. Arrakis.
There is no water in Arrakis. It's just
a good point. It's just like the magic of the drop.
I'll do a dune painting. Don't worry. It'll happen.
Okay.
He's so concerned that the dune painting will happen. The dune painting will happen, man. I want a brown. Come over here maybe with my brown.
The spice must flow.
The spice must flow. And the spice will flow. It will. Don't worry. So it's interesting, these little lines being as faint as they are. What are you looking at me for?
We scooted you over in the chair. That's all. I was just wondering why you're so much closer to that edge just now. Because you're scooted over in all the framing.
Oh, I apologize.
No, it's fine. I was just like, why is
I need
that?
to lighten that up a lot.
Because you're scooted over.
A lot, a lot, a lot, lot. Kind of bring that little curve around. Bring that little curve around. Maybe dry brush a little of this curve down. Just to show that little transitional moment. What's having a transitional moment? This bit of sand right here that's been combed.
Ooh.
Combed. Combed. So we'll let that have a little rest there. It's nice value.
Now I see I've gone back to Mel Brooks and Spaceballs when they were combing the beach.
Simpler time. Spaceballs was a simpler time. Okay. I've got to find this right here and then I'm going to blend this. So this little curve is a bit dark and then it blends light as it goes into the distance. And that is what again? Atmospheric perspective.
Yay! I didn't know that.
Let's I'm going to get a little more of my blue in here. It's just a little more. There we go. So it's a little of the Phthalo Blue and then the Ultramarine Blue, and then I'm going to wipe out on my brush. If I need more water, I will get it on there. And now I can kind of come in and be like, it's lighter. And sometimes I'm like always doing that. I'm like, I am just trying to get this to work. It needs to be one value lighter than that, but we'll just kind of let it dry for a minute, and then I'm going to come back with another lighter value and blend that in, and that will help me make the curve. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and I'll add a little of my yellow into this. I'm going to kind of create a almost aqua space. And then this here is going to start out lighter and come around here. This type of work is what angle brushes are the jam for. This is what they do best. They do it best. They do. I get a little more white into it. Kind of a relaxing painting, a bit fussy. There we go. And then just a lot more. There we go.
Wow.
So we're just starting to get it. And this is what we get to do the whole way through. Enjoy the journey. Aren't you excited now?
I'm watching.
You should be so excited.
There are worse things.
There are so many worse things, unfortunately. Man, there are just so many worse things.
This is pretty good.
This is not one of them. This is not one of the worst things. This is one of the pretty good things.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want a pretty good thing? We could all handle a pretty good thing once in a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just coming in here and working the blue shadows of everything. I can always come back and, you know, this one's a bit of a thing there. And then let's, you know, it's different value kind of up front. So we're going to rinse out. Are you rinsed out, sir?
I'm
He's like, I'm just here.
Thoroughly rinsed and now ready to sleep.
You're ready to sleep?
I think so. It's 8 o'clock.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm trying to go faster.
Oh, you're fine. I'm not like in a rush. I've just recognized that at some point my bedtime turned it to 9 o'clock and I didn't even realize it. It was just like, no, your bedtime is now 9. That's when you go to sleep now. I used to think that would be an offensive thought to be. I had to go to bed at 9.
Now you're like,
I get to go to bed at 9.
that is a true thing, is it not? Like, I think back to, you wouldn't know it to look at me, but there was a time in my life, and I'm in no way exaggerating in saying I went out every single night with my friend to go dancing at the club. It was like air. I had a routine. I had places. We were kind of, she's sort of goth alt, really kind of straight edge, and I was definitely more goth, but I was like goth rebellious, and like every once in a while I'd throw a color in there just because I don't know, I just had to be obnoxious in the middle of the dance floor. And we would go to country clubs fully worked out. We did that. We used to do that a lot. We had nights.
I met you at that point of your.
You did. You met me
stuff.
because my friend Tig said, "Girl, we have to stop going out every night. We're getting old. We have to stop doing it. We're not even sure." So what we should go do is there's this really great LARP going on at the college, which you're gonna love. And I was like, "Oh, I love LARP." And he's like, "Oh, I know. Let's take a night off and we'll LARP." And I'm like, "Oh, a night off." And we did, and then I met my husband, so that worked out really well.
That was a day. That was a interesting day at the Vampire the Masquerade game.
It was a very interesting day. Well, there was a couple of days because I was at the game for a while before you talked to me.
There was a couple times that you showed up.
Yeah, because I did like it. It was a nice break from, you know, the regular grind. And something else to do. Diane's like, John is seriously winding down.
Yeah, I have to stop drinking coffee at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Otherwise, I don't fall asleep until 4 o'clock in the morning. And I don't know why there's this fine line where it's like, I don't know, 4 o'clock, okay, 5 o'clock, I don't ever fall asleep. I don't know how that works, but there doesn't seem to be a forgiveness zone.
There does not, does there?
It's like you get the last mercy cup of coffee, but if you let it linger too long, then you're up all night.
Don't you let it linger. Yeah, so different perspectives in time. I used to think that I had to be in a heel that was at least 4 inches high. I live in Crocs now. I just go from Crocs to other flat and comfortable shoes.
I don't know that I have changed that significantly. I don't know.
Yes, you have. What do you say?
I just still wear jeans.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like I wear the same shoes.
Oh my gosh.
I have days of flair.
It's changed a lot. So many of you don't know this. Maybe many of you do. John was actually on Extreme Makeover back before they realized it's probably morally wrong to do this to people.
Before we convince you that,
And we should just do it to houses.
when they soft pitch you, hey, you're a 5'6", we can make an 8'9".
And the gentleman that did his fashion is in every fashion consulting makeover show that's ever been made. He's very funny. I think he was Charlotte's friend. I don't remember the name of the actor in Sex and the City. Linda might know. Anyways, so at this time, and look, we worked hard for these. This wasn't a small get. This took effort. John had every single imported from Japan anime bowling shirt.
It's true.
We worked hard to get that.
So what happened was that I decided that I liked the colorful, comfy, silky shirts, and they only came in this predominantly dye-sublimated Asian print variety, which I liked. I was into anime. So I had about a bazillion of them, and then everybody would find me more versions, and then it would be like, we found John a new shirt.
It was just like that.
And so I had
Ultramarine blue right here.
a bazillion of those shirts.
Bazillion D.
So much so that they called it a uniform.
Yeah, he did. He looked at it and what did he asked you if you had OCD?
Yeah. He's like,
He wasn't being rude or not ironic.
No,
he was genuinely concerned.
It was what it is. I had a collection. And it was just a collection it broke his brain.
It did. It broke his brain hard.
You cannot collect this ugly shirt. That's what he basically said. He said, ugly shirts cannot be collected. You can't do that. Go. We're just going to burn this closet.
We're going to go to Hugo Boss.
And we're going to go to Hugo Boss and find you something that has a name brand on it.
He just, he felt very strongly.
He was right.
I mean, yeah, in some ways, I liked it at the time. It was appropriate at the time.
Yeah, sure. It was cool. But, I mean, he was definitely at the, you can't do that anymore.
And he did. He took him to Hugo Boss.
I did. And I got, it was really nice, actually.
They're really nice. John had a very good team of people, and they were really lovely. And
it was a magical time when they were between first
like
and
Agent
third
Coulson.
seasons.
Tahiti was a very magical place.
Well,
Our friends were convinced it was an Agent Coulson scenario. Like John was going to go and they were going to do things to him and he was not going to come back, John. There was no part of them. I'm adding a little bit of brown to my yellow over here, my Naples yellow and my burnt sienna. They were super convinced that it was going to be bad. John was going to be harmed. And that he was going to be replaced by pod people. And there was no other scenario for them than that.
Yeah, and that was it. I think I understand. We were very into the SCA and LARPing, and they, so those were not a group of people known for their embracing of technology in the first place. So
well,
most of our peer group, just saying, we were there with them in the woods.
I am glazing over with a little bit.
We were definitely casting things in.
Here's what I'll say. I don't know. I love a corset, but it is not fun to nurse from.
And you know what? Mosquitoes suck.
We're just adding a little bit of a dimensionality to the shadow of this sand here, trying to, create some personality. Yeah, that was a time, wasn't it, babe?
Mm-hmm. A time before pan tilt zoom cameras.
What are you gonna do?
I think I'm okay here.
So Sharon O'Brien says my wardrobe is mostly sci-fi and fandom shirts, jeans, and long sleeves tees. It's sad, really. You know what? I say no. I say that we the creatives should wear whatever fandom we have. I watched Inuyasha with my kids. It's the second time, maybe third, maybe fourth time I've watched it, all the way through with my children, and then I bought us all matching Inuyasha shirts.
Yes, you did.
So we could family up together. John didn't get one because he didn't want to get one, but we all did, and I wear it proudly.
You know what? I'm just going to say that of all the things you can get away with wearing in northeastern Pennsylvania as a 6'4" dude, an Inuyasha shirt is not probably one of them. If anything is going to get you to somebody stopped and then go, okay, you're going to have to explain what that is.
Well, I won't make them explain their stuff on the back of their truck if they don't make me explain my shirt.
Probably. But I'm just saying.
Nobody approaches me. The pink hair is a complete deterrent. They just know. They're like, you're not one of ours, are you? And I'm like, I'm not. I wish you love and peace. I don't agree with a lot of it, but I wish you love. I wish you love. And they're like, I'm out of here. It's so funny. Like, honestly, I can just look at somebody like who's not wearing their mask and they just put it on because they think I'm going to go like do something.
You just look like you're going to come over and get your pink hair in someone's business.
I'm not going to get my pink hair in anyone's business. I'm just not. I'm like the opposite of that. I don't want to know people better in that way, so I just don't.
But you know what has been interesting? Is that my son's interest in making armor and my experience in making armor have now paid off that I can make him foam armor and not have any of the time, guilt, or pain involved in making heavy metal armor. Which I kind of like.
Yes, you do. So I'm helping find my lines, which can be visually confusing with the mix of burnt sienna, Naples Yellow. And I'm just coming along there just trying to make sure that I've got that. Yeah, Elizabeth says, wear whatever makes you happy. We should wear whatever makes us happy. Mm-hmm. I let other people wear what makes them happy, even when what they're wearing makes me sad. So if I want to wear a dorky dork up shirt, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it hard.
I'm not exactly sure
I'm going to wear all my Disney fandom and everybody can do. And I love Torrid for that. Torrid knows that about me and they carry new things that have stuff to wear.
Inuyasha always seemed to be yelling at people when I walked into
it was a very yelly series. So I'm not saying it wasn't a very yelly series.
I think that was why he was always seeming to be yelling at people.
There was a lot of yelling.
That's where I was like, I can't do. He's a very yelly fox guy.
Well, he is Well, actually, it's interesting because nine-tailed foxes were traditionally females that seduced men, and they're kind of like the succubi of Korea and stuff. But in the Inuyasha series, you're talking about the nine-tailed fox god, who was a higher level deity.
Who shouted at everybody.
And who did fall in love with the shrine maiden.
But they shouted so much.
Was not a shouter. Was a trickster, but not a shouter. But Inuyasha in this series was a shouter. There's a particular type of anime that seems to be scream-based.
The more screamy, the more emotive.
Yeah, it does seem so. So now I'm doing the blue here, and then I'm going to come back with a little yellow and again define these ridges. That's how we're getting this. As we go forward, I might get into some darker blues. So like when we come around this curve here, see how we can get into the darker blue?
I see.
And shade the curve. This is, again, the principle of sand dune.
Shade the curve.
Shade the curves, my friend. Shade this. It's kind of like kick the tires and light the fires.
Shade the curves. I don't know what else you would do.
I mean, I love Top Gun. I did. I Top Gunned out. So, yeah, I mean, it's not like adding a little bit of that darker value. You got to add the dark values to bring the light. The darkness defines the light. Sometimes that's what I'm thinking to get myself through these days is darkness defines the light.
Mm.
It helps us see the light and appreciate the light when we are in the presence of it. It does.
That just makes me think of going to sleep.
I know it does.
You just reminded me that it's 8 o'clock and
I am going as fast as I
I'm not
can.
saying
These curves are curvilicious.
they're fine. You said darkness, and then I thought sleep, and then I thought, oh, it's how close to my bedtime is it?
Our community is agreeing that you just wear what you love. Wear what you love.
I agree with you. I wear, you like.
You do what you want to do. I met you.
Yeah.
John does not do what makes others comfortable for them. John does what John wants to do. John wants to do it.
Sometimes I'm amused by others' people's interpretation of what I do.
Well, I mean, it's not untrue, right?
Well, right. I have a top hat, and I like to wear it sometimes. Not because of any other reason except it's a top hat day. Haven't had one in a while, but when I do have them, I wear it.
I don't always wear a top hat, but when I do it in San Francisco.
It's often in San Francisco. Yeah, oftentimes I'm hatting.
I am dry brushing. You can see I'm really allowing a lot of the surface to show through. And this is just to kind of help pull that little sand aspect out, right? But I need to leave enough value difference so that, and you want to have some of these little shadows kind of be at an angle. As you can see, so when it comes back, they look like what they're supposed to look like. Because, you know, it is sand. And then when we get that done, we're going to add a bright, bright highlight on the top of these. It's just a process.
Mm.
You're not fast one, which John is noticing.
No, it's very fast enough.
If you're tired, we can make this a two-parter, babe.
Oh, no, we're fine.
Okay.
Really, really.
Now I'm going to come up here. This is much brighter here, right? And we're going to just bring this here. This is almost all a very uniform light and warm kind of white sand color. So you want to just bring this here. I hope I got that curve right.
Looks good.
That was a hard curve. But I can bring a curve back if any of it just gets away from me to the point that I can't anymore.
Just adjust it.
Yeah. It will be doable. We're just trying to get the sense of those ridges going. We need our new Art Sherpa shirts. That would make a good one.
Oh.
All right. So I'm going to get a little bit of my black and my blue. And more blue. And we're going to come here and say that right here, and then kind of curving, is a bit of a deep shadow. And there's definitely a deep, deep one under the rock. Right?
Yeah.
You're going to have a deep shadow under this rock and then come around. Trying to capture those moments. Capture them!
Get him!
Do something, man. I knew what we were in for. I knew what we signed up for. I did. Don't worry. There we go. Just kind of trying to make those turns. Let's get the turns in. The turns. Just work those turns in. Trying to get the rivulets in there and get that sense
They
of the
look really
sand
good.
turning. Yeah, they're okay. They're good. They're okay. I feel like we can get them a little bit better, but we're doing pretty good. We definitely are heading in the direction we want to go. Like you do. I'm going to come up here. Definitely continue to lighten that area.
Ooh.
There we go. Just lighten it. Let's see how that looks from up top.
All right.
I think we're getting there. Are we getting there?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Jonathan. Jonathan's like, oh, he's like, I'm there for you. I'm there. Jonathan is here for me. All right. Thank you for the encouragement. I appreciate it. So we've got the nice shadow coming out, from this, and we've got to make sure that that's in there. So even as this is happening, we may want to come back through with a little bit of the blue, just to make sure that that's carried out. As you can see, it's almost like a glazing. We're just making sure that there's a shadow across the raking in the sand. I appreciate that. So let's put in some stones, shall we?
Yes.
Let's put in some stones. So I'm going to go with burnt sienna and ultramarine blue, kind of as a starting place. We've got this wonderful little shaded area here. And this is an over-exaggeration of the valuescape, right? We're exaggerating the valuescape, and we're doing that so we can build up some layers and create some of that stony texture. Burnt Sienna, and Ultramarine. Make a variety of wonderful neutral grays that can bias blue or brown, which is very nice. This is why I pre-paint things for acrylic April.
Mm-hmm.
Just so I don't. Because sometimes something looks very simple, but the process of it's sort of technical, so it takes longer, and you can end up really surprised by a project. I'm going to add just a little bit of water to my brush. This is a much lighter color than the shadow here at the side. But again, this is a very rough kind of blocking out that we do.
Yeah.
To start speaking to the value, and then we're going to come back and really create some texture and some nice shadow, and then talk a little bit about on the back of the stones. You'll see that there's kind of a blue cast of shadow. There's this deep sort of shadow and then some reflected light. So we're really going to actually get to do some of those things, which are really wonderful to do whenever you've got a well-lit still life such as this. So I'm going to go ahead and get some of my phthalo blue. I'm going to come here. And I want it to be lighter. I'm going to continue to add white. And we'll still take this up a value from where this is at. We just want to start putting this in. And this is under our butterfly as well. Probably because if I were to guess, much like our dandelion, I suspect that the butterfly was photoshopped in.
Oh.
I do. Mostly because the butterfly isn't really impacting light or shadow on the stone.
Yeah.
So that is where my suspicion comes from. I'm going to grab just browns and blacks and those types of things to go under here. And right under where the stones are connected, I might grab even a pretty dark black. There we're doing?
Yeah.
Pretty dark, because they would really, really break light, wouldn't they? Back into that. Back to life. Sorry. I'm going to add a little bit of the shadow. John will tell you, there's no stopping me.
No?
I'll sing a half bar of a song badly any old time.
That's okay.
It's what I do.
We're about it.
About it. I'm going to bring a little mid-tone here. If you'll notice, there's like a little mid-tone shadow here. Sort of paint that. And then interestingly enough, yeah, it's a little bit, behind the stone. I've got a little brown on this brush here, but it's a bit lighter than you think. So let's start adding that, right?
Yeah.
The other thing that you're kind of subtly learning is that every one of my other classes, I start with a very fresh palette. Right? But if you're conserving paint and you're using something like a Stay Wet palette, you may not be starting with a fresh palette every time, right?
Mm-hmm.
You might be starting with something a little less so. So I'm going to add a little yellow here, I think. Just for fun. It was fun for me.
I think it looks really nice. I like how the sand
kind of comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to it's a lighter value, but I'm just going to dry brush that up. And you can kind of see
for a moment, come back and
there's just so many reflections and things that we can add. This has a bit of a shadow kind of coming up, so I could get into that. And I will just play with these values. A little thing that you will start to get a sense of when you paint is that you can do almost any color. You know, almost anything, if you can get the value right.
Now, how do you, is the brush stroke direction important for making the roundness on the rock?
Well, it could be, but I'm not specifically doing that. I'm painting pretty loosely. And I'm really trying to get more like the sense of light, dark than anything else. So I'm not so much doing something that would be, I just went and got a little, I just worked through my palette.
Yeah.
As we start to paint the rock. Rosie's like, oh wow, step away from the phone call and then it's painting. It gets there, doesn't it? I'm going to let this dry for a little bit so I can come back and add another layer. Right now I would just be blending, and I want to just keep going with what I'm doing. This is a nice gray, and I think will work well up top here. It's a lighter value, which I think will be appropriate because just like through here, there's some reflected lights. It's in shadow. It's not bright, but it's also got a little bit of light coming up from the sand and other sources. Shadows are very rarely solid, super clearly defined lines in the sand.
In the sand.
In the sand. They're not often that. I'm going to get into my blue. The reason these stones are very light, and the reason there would be blue on them is there's so much blue in the space that there'd have to be blue on the stones. They just would have to have it. There would be no way for them not to. I just get right into this dark color and then come here and kind of talk a little bit about the half tone that might be coming here, or brown into it if I want to. No lighter.
The stacked stone.
The stacked stones. Stacked stones are always fun to do.
Why is that?
Because they are studies of light and shadow, and their roundness lends itself to the exploration of that concept.
Meh.
Meh.
All right. You got an answer.
Hopefully it's a satisfying one.
It seems like that was a reasonable answer.
As long as you're happy.
Oh, yeah. You're asking. Yeah, I am.
Maybe put a little orange in there. I went and grabbed some orange. It's just some cad yellow and some cad red from earlier. I will often do this when I'm painting.
Blush it in.
When I am painting on my own, I will often play all over my palette and do many, many things. I feel will be interesting in the moment as I'm coming through. Grabbing some brown into that mix. Yeah. But we need it to be lighter, so we're going to come here and let it be lighter. Still a shadow, but we want it to be lighter. Now, I lost a little bit of my deep shadow there, and I will put it back. We will not lose it tonight. No, we will not. I'm adding a slightly lighter value of the turquoise there. If I had to come in a slightly lighter value of the turquoise here. Daily painting. 3 daily paintings. 4 daily paintings. But you know what? I never would have pushed myself in my previous art life in the way that I do now. And
That's true.
Feel like a much more thoughtful, considered artist to what I am doing.
You could use a lot of words there. Hardcore.
Think I'm hardcore? Sweetie, do you think I'm hardcore?
I think you would make you cry as an artist if you met you from.
I do believe, and I did quote my friend Dee in all honesty because she said this once. But I remember my mom was always like trying to figure out how I would monetize anything. She'd be like, how are you going to sell that? Where's your collection? How are you going to sell that? Where's your collection? And I remember just being like, I'm not an art vending machine. You can't put a quarter in and get a masterpiece out, Mom. Apparently you can.
YouTube.
I did. I think I said that. She doesn't really throw it in my face, so I appreciate that.
I don't know. There are a lot of funny conversations.
But I'm pretty sure my friend Dee said that initially. And it resonated with me deeply. I mean, honestly, though, the place where she said, I think we were turning work in for the newspaper, the Mustangs, and we were doing political cartoons. I know. But for a well-spent life, I could be doing political cartoons right now. I'm so glad I'm not. And though I do think of funny things all the time. And yeah, that's what she had said, I think, to the editor or somebody. And I was like,
that's
so rebellious. I was so impressed. I was. I'm going to get this out here. Maybe I'm going to get just a smidge of my cad yellow into this now, into my white. What are you saying, babe?
No, I was just going to make an office joke.
What was, like The Office, like Michael Scott Office?
Well, right.
Okay, yeah.
That's what she said.
You can always make a Michael Scott joke. That is why I had loved Pete Buttigieg so much when he came through, is he reminded me of Leslie Knope. I was like, it's like Parks and Rec. Now, if we could just get Ron Swanson, we would be cooking with fire. Wow, that had a draw on it, didn't it? Sorry.
You know, I'll be your Ron in a pinch.
You are my Ron Swanson. You are. So we're just lightening the front of the stones, you know, trying to get the values there because they're quite bright in this space. Right? The light on them is quite strong. And so we definitely want to light these up. It is a dry brush as we layer in. I'm not ashamed of it. I'll admit it's a dry brush. Sometimes I might come in here and I might be like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Why are we ooh-yang?
I just like to put these bits of color here and there. I think that they make things interesting. I often will look like, what can sustain it? And I love it.
Yeah.
It's like really awesome. Okay. So there we are. How do we like that?
The rocks have been stacked.
Rosie says, don't forgive me if this is intrusive. It's, you know what? It's so sweet. You guys, now sometimes in life when somebody's like, I don't mean to be rude, but you got to brace yourself because you know what's coming is going to be a doozy. But for the most part, you guys, when you say forgive me or I don't mean to be rude, say the most reasonable thing in the world after you were like, is it okay if I have some water? I'm really parched, but I don't want to be rude. I'm just dying. You know, you're like, and you've got all the water. You're like, yeah, of course. So Rosie is asking, do forgive me if it's intrusive. It's not at all. Do you think we could ever get a gallery type walkthrough of the paintings we don't get to see? I bet you have hundreds, if not thousands. Yes, I have thousands. And
I don't even know how to show them.
I have been trying to talk John into a time lapse of just the things I've done since YouTube. Not before, just since YouTube, where I put it on the easel and take it off, put it on the easel and take it off. But there are thousands of paintings to
do that too.
wrangle. And so it's been a really overwhelming challenge to figure out how to do it. But I want to do it because I think if people saw what I'd done, they would be like, oh, dude.
Dang.
I think they would. I think it would be a full dang moment. I do. I think they would be like, that is crazy. I didn't even know she did all that. I'd be like, yes, I did. All right, I'm going to just come up here and make sure that there's some blue. Now, I am going to come under my blue butterfly on my rock with some blue here, which is going to make a difference in a minute. And I'm going to bring a little bit back because he would create a shadow. He was photoshopped on. So he doesn't, but he would. So that's why I'm doing that. I'm going to grab a little of my black, maybe some of my brown.
You should. As you should.
As I should and will. Just a little bit of this right here. I like him. And a little bit of his little, oh, I eat flowers. And a little bit of this here. There, that's lovely. Got some nice little antennae. Yeah, I would be really nice. Like, I don't know, like, if I don't need to get, like, volunteers to come to the house and be like, okay, we're going to photograph the collection and we're going to put it on the easel. It's going to take 5 days.
Yeah, we've got to find some more peeps.
Yeah. It's getting to be a thing, man.
We're going to have to
I'm adding a little bit of an orange highlight to his body just to give his little bugginess some value, because otherwise it would not be like, you would be like, he doesn't look that great. But he does look that great because look at him. We're going to make a bright orange. We're just taking our Cad Yellow and our Cad Red. And let's just start by... Now, over the blue, this is the probably the big challenge. If you're painting really inexpensive paint, you're probably going to feel this right here. I'm going to do a couple coats is how I'm going to work around it. I don't know why I'm like, back to life, back to... I don't know why.
Because
it's
of 90s
really
music.
Huh?
Because of 90s music.
Like, we're just going to blame 90s music?
Yep.
Okay.
That one is. Ace of Base, for sure.
I know, Ace of Bases.
That's like, mid-90s
But
rattle
it's
your brain.
in my head.
Well, that's because it was rattled out the back of every, car carrying in a couple of tens in the back.
So true.
If you had
like an 808 drum.
If you had a Camaro with an 8-inch bass tube thrown in the back, you thought that you were just booming in that thing.
I'm going to out John and say he had a lot of cars with a lot of bass.
I did.
I did. I'm going to continue to add a little Cad Red and yellow to things just to build up the layers. Art by Command says, could you paint white, then the orange over it to make the painting orange easier? You know, to be real honest, I would probably even not white because the yellow and red could be like really streaky on it. I might do like an ochre or a burnt sienna, and you can see as I'm building up, it's there. But you can try white. Sometimes white is what you need if you need it to be like a real sort of saturated, clarified orange. I like the multi-layer effect. I'm gonna turn on this thing.
All right. So yeah, there's Cinnamon has a bunch of paintings next door, and at some point we're gonna get our situation set up so that we can get more of those paintings. We'll get set up so you can get some more paintings photographed soon.
You want to do that? You want to do that idea? It's gonna be really cool.
At some point, yes.
I mean, it could go viral. It might not, because YouTube says you can't be viral. You can't be viral anymore. And I said, but I want to be viral. I work real hard. And YouTube says, no viral for you.
Kim's like, you just described my ex's Camaro. And I was like, well, that's okay. That was a blanket description of all Camaros in the 90s. You know, just the way it was.
Oh, Rosie's saying she's like losing her mind over the close-up of the rocks. Aren't they beautiful? Don't they just give you joy? And then when you get back from them, they feel like stones, and it's like, what? And they feel like they're in light, and it's like the colors on them are so crazy.
Cool.
It's so much fun, right? This is art. This is fun. This is why it's so healing. This time where you're like, I think I might put some orange there. Honestly, this lets your brain put down some stuff and like go deep. It just goes deep. I'm going to get some more orange, and I will do that next layer. Look, that's so bright, isn't it?
Layers.
The layers of orange are happy. And I like to mix it up. Let's mix it up. Mix it up. So it's a little streaky. Sometimes it's a little more yellow, and sometimes a little more orange. But it makes me happy. I don't mind. And we're almost done.
Yeah?
Yeah. We really are.
Almost done.
It's just the black and white dots after this. Like once we get the wing pattern in, it's a done deal. It's a done deal. It's done, son. That dog don't hunt. I said that to somebody on Twitter recently, not ironically. I was like, that makes no sense. That dog don't hunt.
They look at you like, what are you talking about?
I have discovered that if you say super Southern things to people being crazy on the internet, they're like, they don't know what to do. They're like, I think I know what that means, but I'm not sure, so I don't know how to really respond.
Yeah, I kind of like it. I have to say, I have discovered my inner Southern, like, you can just bring it out, and when it's needed. Sometimes it's needed.
There has been an easement dispute. And my husband, every time it comes up with the other individual, gets really Southern. I think last time he said, now be sweet.
I don't know. I mean, I do know, but I'm trying to gently placed feet. Not like all the things that are screaming in the back of my brain.
But when you're like, look, buckaroo, I'm sure we can work something out.
I may have...
You Toy Story'd him.
I didn't mean to.
I know, but it was really funny. No harm, no foul. All right, so look at those beautiful orange wings. Ah, your wings are orange and they're beautiful and you are beautiful. And we love you and you are beautiful because you're genuinely good people. Thank you for being genuinely good people.
It's missing signage.
It's not done. There's no, I mean, it's pretty with the blue on the wings, but it still has the black.
I thought you were calling it. I was like,
no, I'm not calling it.
I was like, this seems like there's more. I don't know. You're just like, I thought there's more there, and you're just like, this seems beautiful. I'm like, okay. I'm not one to just, like, tell you when to paint. See?
What?
More
What?
ace of base. More ace of base.
More ace of base.
It creeps on you.
It does. It does, it does, it does, it does.
The 3D effects of the stones are pretty cool.
I love it very much. I love it very much. You know, guys, I'm so glad. I thought you guys were going to pick the kittens hugging. I really did. And I'm actually kind of super glad that you guys picked this. I am.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think for the purposes of what we're trying to do, it may be easier to do the patterning on the wings and then come in and then paint in the rest of the black, because if we get the pattern in, like if we go, and then you go there, and then you can have a bit of a, like this, and then like that, then you got it, see?
Yeah.
So then you just paint those veins in very clearly, work out the front. And then when we dot with white, it'll feel like a butterfly. It may change species of butterfly. I've heard from the internet that I may change my species of butterflies in mid-paint because I move their markings.
Wow.
And then this one has kind of a long, thin one, comes down. Choop.
Yeah.
And then there's sort of a line. Oh, I went too far on that one. Sometimes I'll be looking and I'm like, oh, wait, did not do that. Working out the little bits of things. That's what you gotta do. You just kind of break it down. Sometimes it's super hard to see all the elements. You just pick a small element and work that out.
Yeah.
And then see what's the next element you can get a handle on, and then you work that out. And from there, you can find your way through anything. Is butterfly. I have painted this butterfly so many times.
Huh? You painted this a couple times.
Yeah.
This butterfly.
I like me an orange butterfly, apparently. Like, a lot. And so, therefore, I painted a lot. I got too many little orange segments in there, but that's fine.
Yeah?
Yeah, it won't hurt. The totality of it will still come together.
The totality of it.
The totality of it will still work. I hope everyone who was here today comes and paints the manatee painting, because we paid so much for that.
I actually really like that.
Did you love it?
Yeah, I think it's going to be great.
I really looked. I looked at Pixabay. I looked everywhere for good manatee and mommy baby images, and they were not out there. They were not out there. Like, one of the things I've noticed since I've been on my licensing sites is that not all photographs are created equal. No. And not all photographers.
No.
And some photographers are better at it than others.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at a still life and I'm like, you put that up for sale? Because, you know, when you're professional, you got to curate some stuff.
Thinking?
Yeah, you got to curate yourself when you work. You do this for a living. You got to ask yourself, is this the work that I want in the world?
Is this the work that... Well, yes. Okay. I'm going to be nice.
Yeah. No, you should always be nice, but it is a thing. And like, I will, when I'm like looking for something like a still life, I will notice that I'll go, oh, that one's good, and that one's good, and that one's good. And then it will be the same photographers again and again and again and again. And in this particular case, every single manatee picture that I liked was from this one photographer. Everyone. Put out your white paint that has been plugged up. And the only thing that there's just too little of the world needs now is me breaking my only pastel pencil. I can order more. Darn it.
You sure we don't have any more?
We're down to 2 little stubbies.
Oh.
I gotta put in a call or make an order. One of those 2 things needs to happen.
Or both.
Or both. Both is also an acceptable answer. I have no idea what I did with my detail brush.
I do not know either. Do I need to find one for you?
I mean, it's the monarch. There it is. I need to get a bunch more of these before we burn all bridges.
Oh, right. Oh, I like the white dots.
I like this part a lot. This little dot part. I like seeing the little personality bits that happen the minute you put those in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they pull my soul together. We all... Sometimes we all need a little help pulling our soul together. Whatever that means to you.
Yeah.
Doesn't it look beautiful?
Really does. I like them.
You like him?
Yeah.
I like him too. It's been a good day. Manatee and this butterfly, it was a good day art-wise.
Yeah, the manatee. Again, I really like the manatee.
I need to. It's all the humanity.
Oh, the huge manatee.
But you know, they're just such sweet beings. They're just like sea cows. They just float around and don't bug nobody.
Seamoo.
Seamoos.
Oh.
They're just
I
like
bet you that's
happy,
what they'd be like.
happy little grazers doing grazy little graze things. I like them. You should be kind to them. Protect their little fatness. Float around in the fat little water. If I lived in Florida, which I don't, but if I lived and I had a beachfront house, I would be like, slow your boat down. That would be such a pain. People would not bless me. They were like, oh, she got the megaphone again. I actually laughed, but I have a family member whose neighbors were not driving at an appropriate speed for it being a neighborhood with kids in, and she would like get out with like a video camera and a megaphone and a chair in the morning and like get them. And I thought that was awesome.
Gotta have a hobby.
Gotta have a hobby. So that's good parenting right there.
Yeah, yeah.
You will slow
Making
down. And then she would like go
sure.
to the house like people who like did not slow down. I was very worried, like safety wise, but I admired the chutzpah. Gonna add a few little. Fine with insects, you want to add a few little reflection dots just because it helps them feel insecty. How do you guys love it?
I like it.
All right. I'm so glad you guys picked this. And I'm glad, you know what? Here's something.
Ooh.
In my life, I have not painted raked sand. So I have painted other things. I've painted sand dunes and painted different things. But this was a really great exercise in light and form and shadow and the way that value defines space. And so I'm really glad you picked it. I think it was a good painting to do, and I really, really enjoyed myself.
So now we can sign it?
So now the end is near,
Now the sign.
and draw the final curtain. Yep. I did it my way. Something, something, something. No Adam Lambert am I. No Prince Poppycock. No
That's very
Surrey
nice.
Bob. Oh, I'm not. That's okay. I don't need to be. I need to be me.
I really like this.
I like this too.
Turned out super nice.
Yes, Rosie's like, this is your first time painting that. Yes. I have never had a reason to paint rake sand.
Nope. This is the first time I think I've ever seen you do this.
Yeah.
You've done lots of other things similar to this with some rocks, like some water drips and some bamboo.
Like the round rocks I paint.
And
yeah.
you do the
like
bamboo,
stacky stones, the
and
bamboo
there's-
thing, and yeah.
Like you even did some before we recognized it as maybe something we shouldn't do. You did Buddhas and stones, and
That we shouldn't. Because.
well, because Buddhas are a religious symbol, and
Yes.
maybe-
It's a philosophy and also a religious symbol, so yeah.
So it's hard to know where to draw the line as
You know, and that was a hard one too because my honest set point, my set point as a person is I'm very accepting of all faiths. I think all faiths are great, and I think art in faith is wonderful. What I have learned is art in faith on Facebook is a nightmare,
yeah.
right? Because people cannot allow, like at best, you can get them to tolerate something. And I'm going to tell you something about toleration. Tolerating something is what you do. Like, I tolerate the gynecologist, right?
Wow.
I get through it. I accept it has to happen. It's
Yeah.
important for my health. I bare my teeth, but that's a very different energy than allowing. And when your set point is tolerating, it doesn't take much of a tip for something to become one of those internet moments. And so, like, yeah, I did angels. I have a potentially nude butt. I mean, it's at a distance. She could be wearing a swimsuit. It's hard to say. The Kraken's about to eat her. I'm not really sure. There's angels. There's Zen and Buddha symbols. There's definitely some. There's holy. There's some different stuff, and yet in the group we can, but that really has been about people's conflict resolution, not my feeling about everybody's rights to see or not see the universe in the way that they do, because it's okay in the way that you do. That's kind of why I did the 18 plus group with the challenges, so people could have a little bit like, you know, like we started out, we didn't have any rules against political art. I didn't care if you painted a presidential portrait. I started caring when everybody started getting a fight over it. Cared a lot. I didn't care about nudes, and everybody got in a fight over it, and I had to care a lot. And the same with
Then you
religion.
all of a sudden you gotta care.
All of a sudden I have a care. And so it's an interesting thing to be a person who's like, yay, free speech. Who's like, yeah, but not here. Not here. But that's really, again, I think it's hard for people to know how to resolve conflict. Sometimes I don't know how to resolve conflict, and I have a lot of experience. Since I've been online, I've had to do so much reading on it and so much self-training that I didn't expect to have to do. If you go into our Facebook group, there is a helpline for so many countries.
Oh yeah.
that is hard-won and sadly won information that we had to come by. Our moderators all have, like, in their little moderation packet, information of, like, this is what you do in certain situations. And believe you me, that's not my training. That's, like, not my life experience or my like, that was not covered in art education. Not at all. In fact, we were often asked to put our feelings aside when looking at art that we were not comfortable with, or taking an imagery for which we might personally be repelled, and have to speak about it articulately and in a detached way where you examine the work for what it was and not necessarily overlay your emotional feelings or perspective in every critique. That is not what the internet does.
It's true.
No, the internet does not do that. The internet, is like a raging fire that flares up every once in a while. And it happens to me too. Like, the thing, like, for me, one of my kryptonites is animal cruelty. Like, things that trigger me like crazy. Racism makes me crazy. And I literally mean crazy.
Hypocrisy.
Hypocrisy makes me crazy, even in myself. Oh my gosh, when I catch myself being a hypocrite, I can chew on that for days. Yeah, he does.
When she catches herself, it's the worst. She just tortures herself worse than anyone else could.
Worse than anybody else could. And animal cruelty. Animal cruelty freaks me out. And so, like, and then here I am with something that I was like bawling, just freaking out. And normally I would have put this up and not thought twice about it, but because it got into this other space where, people are not doing well in their discourse, I was like, do I not? Do I not? And, how do I address this? Because these things are all kind of weirdly connected, and yet not at all. And so in the end, I decided that saying that I was in this emotional space, like just owning it, trying to speak respectfully, because you don't want to make big statements that are broad and overreaching. But just saying that, I was there, and that it was impactful to me in this way, and that I was going to use art as a way to kind of unpack a situation that I didn't know how to deal with. And then, coming out the other side, I have to tell you, the minute I got to painting and started solving the problems in the painting, these other emotional problems did start to solve for me, and I did start to see a way out. And I think that that's a good example to set out there. But it's a weird space. It is a weird space.
I think that's a good.
Yeah. Rosie was like, I was not expecting that sentence. Well, I mean, that to me is like, that's really, like, if, say I was in charge of anything, which I'm not, and I was to say to people, if you'd like to get along better, stop tolerating and start accepting. What you accept and allow, not ugliness, not evilness, but just an opinion that's different than yours. When you can allow it and you can go, that's okay, and I'm okay in that space, and we're all going to be all right because of it, that you can get through. But when you're just like, I'm just powering through, I know for me, when I'm in a tolerate state, but not in an accepting and allowing state, it's much more likely for me to be able to flip over my trigger. That's when I say things that later I'm like, I did not do good human things. How you do when you're like, I was not the ideal human that I meant to be today.
We all
work at it, because nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. It is a process. We've got to be able to flip and reset and forgive and start over. And while I'm monologuing like a villain, I wish it was okay. I wish, if I could say I wish in the universe, I wish it was okay to be wrong.
You know my saying. Everybody's prepared to be right, but very few people are prepared to be wrong.
This is true. People are so afraid to be wrong.
It's not that they're afraid to be wrong. I totally understand being afraid to be wrong. But when you go into a situation and you prepare, you should prepare to be wrong or fail or have an out plan. It's one thing to walk into it and be like, all right, I'm I'm always 99% sure I'm right, and I always leave the 1%, so I got a plan just in case.
Right, because you can be. Like, there's things that you might not know. Like,
there might be.
Yeah. Be prepared to be wrong. And a lot of times people make big statements like that. I know this is true, but I'm like, are you prepared for if it's not? Like, what if it isn't? Like, what does that mean?
Just prepare yourself for if it's not.
You know, if you think there's no alien invasion.
What if you're wrong?
Right? Everyone's saying there's an alien invasion, but you're like, I'm sure it's not. It's totally like not true and da-da-da. Yeah.
What if you look outside, or there aliens shooting from the sky?
Maybe they're not in your area. There's stuff that's happening. Like Are we
advocating for War of the Worlds? Is this
I really don't want to live through War of the Worlds. I don't want to live through War of the Worlds ever. I think that would be, just okay. So like before you have kids and when you're young, you've got vitality. You're like, ooh, zombie movie sounds fun. I could survive all that. This is what I'd do in that situation. I'd hide in this part of the mall.
When did you
and then
have
when
your
you have
last cup
kids,
of coffee?
Like early, I cut out early.
I don't believe you.
I did. I cut out early. I did.
You just,
if
somebody
early.
gave you a show on YouTube where they didn't cut you off and let you just go live for as long as you want, you probably would talk forever.
I probably would get canceled. Cancel culture would probably come and say, no. Actually, you know what I have to say to that? Here's what I have to say to cancel culture. That's cute. That's what I would say to that. When people are like, Jenna Marbles was like, all like, well, I guess I won't make videos anymore. I'm like, Jenna. If it's an honest mistake, then it's an honest mistake. Do better. Learn from it. Be an example. Go forward. Be wrong. It's going to be okay.
I don't know who that is.
You don't? No. It's like you don't watch anything.
No.
Like way back when Toddy called out Mark Charles, I called what that was. I did.
And I don't know who Mark Charles is either.
I did. I was so mad about that.
Mark Charles.
I almost was like, I'm going to reach that boy's mother and talk to him because he needs a PR agent to help him.
He's too smooth. He's very even-skinned.
And have you ever noticed like the wrong people get like Trisha Paytas just like runs around and says anything she wants and nobody cancels her? I'm like, cancel culture. Could we just hit some Trisha Paytas? Because oh my gosh, that is some. Anyways, but I don't know. That's my thinking. Like, I don't know. It's feedback, right? Like, I don't know if I would take myself off the air if I went through that. I think I might be like a tenacious little barnacle on the. I'm going to just continue teaching art. If I'm wrong, I'm just going to say I'm wrong and I'm going to say I'm sorry.
You're here to teach.
And then I'm going to make actionable changes in my behavior for whatever triggered that moment. And then just continue on and hopefully earn people's trust back. That's what I would do. Knock on wood that I don't ever have to, because I think I would be crying into my pillow for like days, sobbing.
If we ever did anything, it's going to be foot and mouth.
Oh, I'm a foot and mouth girl.
That's like. You try and articulate something funny and say something stupid, not meaning to.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that I always worry about. Like I'm gonna say something that is, it's aged out, and like I shouldn't be using that vernacular.
It was funny in your head, but you really didn't filter how it would be outside of your head.
Yeah.
And then it hits, and people are like, wait, what did you say? And you're like, wait, no, can I? Let me shove words back in my mouth.
Some of those words.
Yeah, no. And you have to think about that when you're online because,
it's live.
It's record. See, unlike, I guess, everyone else in the world, I know this is recorded. And I know if it's recorded, then it's recorded and it's everywhere.
It's like even if we went up and deleted this right now, even though it's a private video and there's only been a couple dozen people who've seen it, it would still have been backed up by someone.
Somewhere in the universe.
Yeah.
If I can send you forth anywhere, it is all being recorded. Big Brother happened the minute we got cameras in our phone. It is all being recorded. Just go forth, just assuming.
Oh, before then.
Because we are Big Brother. I used to read a lot of dystopian novels. I got a lot of grades on them. I liked my dystopian novels. I like Animal Farm applies to like almost anything. I like
we can
I can
now...
Animal Farm any situation. I can bring it back to Animal Farm. Any situation, I can be like, the pigs always walk on 2 legs.
Okay, but see, here's the thing is you can walk into a group of any people and say in the before time, and not ironically, they know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they do. We all do,
So
don't we now?
that's how you know you're in a post-apocalyptic universe.
Everybody agrees that everything is backed up. We are all online. It is forever. But I'm going to say this, and this is something our society needs to figure out, which is to forgive. Seriously,
Yes.
if somebody did something as a kid that was wrong and stupid and terrible, not like murder or really harming somebody, but like really like they made a mistake. They made a judgment about humanity and they were wrong. They should be able to sit there and say, I was really stupid and I did not know. But now, through reflection and knowledge, I know better now and I am doing better.
You teach painting here, right?
No, I don't. I teach painting. I'm so sorry. I just think that there needs to be the redemption. I think that's what the internet has to figure out how to provide is redemption and renewal and rebirth, because sometimes you can only learn a thing by messing up. I am so grateful. Every day, I literally will have days when I wake up and I thank the universe from the bottom of my heart that there were no camera phones when I was 16.
Yeah, painting that tube does you no good. You gotta get out there and do stuff.
What?
So painting the tube doesn't do you any good. You gotta paint.
Yeah.
You gotta try it. You gotta do stuff.
Are you trying to get me back on painting?
No.
Oh,
Saying.
sometimes John is hurting my cat. John hurts my cat.
Your cat left the cat herd and is on a solo cat adventure, and I don't know what cats do on their own, but you're off cat-a-ratting.
You can know that now. You can know everything now. That's the other thing.
You're on
This
a
is
cat
what I
walkabout.
promise you. You can know everything now. You never have to go without knowledge. I have read obscure papers published by experts in their field on pigment. It's extraordinary that I can even come into contact with them, but everything's digital and everything's online. So we are as informed and connected as we want to be, as we choose to be.
We're so off script. I'm just riffing it with you, so it's fine.
Just riffing it.
It's fine.
This is what patrons get, riffing it.
So
See?
Where are we going today?
I don't know. Whee! You should, like, you don't want to be trapped with us in a car, but if we are on a road trip, it gets deep. It gets deep. And then also we like plan entire things. I do believe on one particular road trip, we designed an entire franchisable family water park. And I mean, not like lightly, like we really were like infrastructure. We had calendars, tent poles. We were like, what would the buildings be like? We planned architecture. We were like locations.
It's really not hard to do that. A water park is pretty easy.
Yeah. Because, like, we'll do that. We'll be like, well, that was fun, but it could be better. How do we do it? I know how I would do it. Yeah. We're those people. So that's the weirdness that is us. And this is the weirdness that is my painting. And you guys are the sweetest to have put up with us. And my moderators who are still stuck here, I'm really sorry. I just realized what I did. I apologize. You guys are great.
You don't know. They may have bounced.
I mean, we're down 4, so... Some people felt perfectly comfortable go, yeah, I'm outie. No.
There's no telling when this one's going to end. Until we're on replay, I'm not going to stick around to see if there's 2 minutes or 40 minutes left of this.
Well, here's a weird thing, because, like, in the big group, if you block me, there's 45,000 people. I don't know.
Although, I tell you what.
But in the Patron group, I know, and then I got to be like, what did I do?
There's going to be a few people who are going to be painting this, and they're going to come to it. They're going to be, wait a minute. This video is how long?
No, it's fine.
It's an hour-ish, and so they're going to get to like 35 minutes, and you're going to be wrapping up, and they're going to be looking at the next 40 minutes of going, what did she do for the next 40 minutes?
This should have probably been okay. So like we're having Zoom problems, just so you guys know, which is why we have not Zoomed, and I don't know if we're going to Zoom again, and I mean we'll do something like it. It's just Zoom may not be our solution. And So this probably would have been a more appropriate place for Zoom, but it's like, remember how when we started this appropriate place for Zoom, but it's like, remember how when we started this patronage, it was supposed to be like Q&A, riffs, back and forth. We just talk about general things. Well, that happened and you got a lesson. So that happened. So really, I'm just providing all the things that I promised, which is my job.
Well, you just like to teach, so you teach. All right, so they say they can't leave until you leave. This is what it says. You hang up first.
I've got to hang up. Oh my gosh, were those people where people are like yawning, we're asleep. This is a good part.
You got to hang up first, though.
Right. So we won't be that guy.
All right.
Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. And I want to see you in a nasal really soon. Bye-bye.